Rain fell in heavy sheets, drumming on the small, scrap-built house at the edge of the village. Inside, a little dragon named Zephy shook his wings and glared at the ceiling. Water dripped through the rusty metal roof in several places, soaking his tiny collection of glowing crystals. He tried to ignore it, but every drop made a cold, wet splash on the floor. He hissed softly, frustrated. How could a roof built with scraps from old buildings fail so badly? He had patched it again and again, yet the rain always found its way inside. Zephy's home was small and cluttered, a mix of metal plates, wooden beams, and odd bits of junk scavenged from the village. Despite its shabby look, it was full of treasures. Crystals lined the walls, glowing softly, each one holding a memory or a dream. Zephy treasured them more than anything else. Yet tonight, the storm was stronger than usual. The wind rattled the walls and water pooled in the corners. He flapped his wings in frustration, sending a few crystals tumbling to the floor. He knew he needed help, but dragons were taught to be independent. Asking a human for help felt strange and dangerous. Most humans feared dragons and most dragons feared humans. But the rain was relentless and the leaks were getting worse. Zephy sighed and stomped toward the door, trying to shake off the wet chill in his scales. That was when he heard a gentle tap on the window. He turned sharply. A human stood outside, drenched from the rain but smiling. Terran, his neighbor, had a calm, steady presence that seemed to fill the space. His brown hair was plastered to his head, and his coat was soaked through, but he held a bundle of tools in one hand. Zephy hissed, a small flame flickering from his nostrils, not out of anger but warning. "Don't be scared," Terran said softly. "I just want to help. I saw your roof leaking." Zephy narrowed his eyes. Dragons were proud and cautious and he didn't trust easily. But he was tired of being soaked every time it rained. He hesitated, then stepped back and allowed Terran inside. The human's eyes widened at the sight of the little dragon and the cluttered house, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he knelt by one of the leaking spots, examining the metal plates. "This is more than a small leak," Terran said. "You need proper repairs or this roof won't survive the next storm." Zephy tilted his head. "I can fix it myself," he said, though his voice wavered slightly. "I know you can," Terran replied gently. "But two minds are better than one. I have some ideas and maybe your dragon skills can make it stronger." For a moment, Zephy considered refusing. Trusting a human went against every lesson he had learned. But then another drop of water splashed onto his crystals, and something inside him gave way. "Fine," he said, flicking his tail. "But you follow my rules." Terran nodded eagerly. "Deal." They worked in silence at first. Terran moved carefully, inspecting the rusty patches, while Zephy hovered nearby, flaring small bursts of flame to dry wet spots or hold metal sheets in place. Slowly a rhythm formed. Zephy learned that Terran was patient, methodical, and careful. The human's hands were gentle but precise, and he seemed to understand the little dragon's nervous energy. "You're not like other humans," Zephy admitted after a while. Terran smiled. "And you're not like other dragons. But we can make a good team." As they worked, the storm outside roared louder. The wind rattled the walls and water seeped through in new spots. Zephy's patience frayed at first, but Terran stayed calm, moving quickly to patch the worst leaks. "Here," Terran said, pointing at a sagging plate. "Hold it steady while I secure it." Zephy flared his wings and used a tiny burst of fire to warm the metal, making it easier to bend. Terran quickly hammered it into place. For the first time in years, Zephy felt hope. Maybe this storm could be survived. Maybe this little roof could finally hold. Hours passed and the rain slowed to a drizzle. The roof still leaked in one small place, but it was nothing like before. Zephy looked at Terran, eyes wide. You actually fixed it?" Terran shrugged modestly. "We fixed it. Your skills helped too." Zephy felt something unfamiliar, a warm feeling in his chest. Gratitude, perhaps, or relief, or even something like friendship. He realized that for the first time he didn't feel alone. Someone else, a human, had cared enough to stay through the storm and help him. The two of them sat quietly, listening to the soft patter of the remaining rain. Zephy's crystals glowed gently, reflecting their shared effort. Terran glanced at them with awe. "These are amazing. Each one holds a memory?" Zephy nodded. "Yes. They're very important to me." Terran's smile was gentle. "I promise to be careful around them." For the first time, Zephy believed it. The little dragon realized that sometimes, help could come from the most unexpected places. A human neighbor, soaked to the bone, had fixed more than just a leaky roof. He had built a bridge of trust and care between their two very different worlds. As the storm cleared and moonlight streamed through the broken window, Zephy and Terran shared a quiet laugh, knowing that tomorrow they would continue repairing the roof, but also that something bigger had begun, a friendship that could withstand any storm. And for the first time in a long while, Zephy felt safe. The next morning, sunlight spilled over Zephy's scrap house, reflecting off the wet metal and the glowing crystals inside. The little dragon stretched his wings and blinked at the light, still feeling a strange warmth from yesterday's rain and the help from his human neighbor Terran. He wasn't used to relying on anyone, especially a human, but he couldn't deny that Terran had saved him from hours of dripping water and ruined crystals. Terran arrived early, carrying more tools and a bundle of metal sheets he had scavenged from the village. "Good morning," he said with a bright smile. "I brought some stronger plates. I think we can make this roof last for a long time." Zephy narrowed his eyes, half suspicious, half curious. "I can do it myself," he said, though there was no heat in his voice. "I know," Terran replied calmly. "But 2 heads are better than 1. And you might need an extra pair of hands." Zephy blinked. He didn't usually like company, but he found himself wanting to see what this human could do. He flapped his wings once, letting out a small puff of smoke, and moved toward the roof. "Fine. But I'm in charge of how the pieces go together." Terran nodded. "Deal." They worked side by side, a strange pair on the old scrap roof. Zephy used his claws and flame bursts to shape the metal and hold it in place. Terran hammered, adjusted, and carefully positioned each plate so water would flow away from the weak spots. They worked silently at first, each learning how the other moved. "You have a good technique," Terran said after a while, glancing at Zephy's careful manipulation of the metal. Zephy tilted his head. "And you are careful. I didn't expect that from a human." Terran chuckled. "We have our moments. I like to fix things properly." As the day passed, they shared small talks between tasks. Zephy told Terran about the glowing crystals, explaining that each one held a memory or a dream. Terran listened with fascination, careful not to touch them roughly. "They're beautiful," he said quietly. "I've never seen anything like them." Zephy felt a little pride swell in his chest. No human had ever seemed interested in his treasures before. Most humans avoided him, afraid of dragons, but Terran looked at him like he mattered. It made Zephy feel different. Their work was interrupted occasionally by curious neighbors. Some human children peeked from behind fences, whispering about the dragon and the human working together. A few older dragons passed by, eyeing the rooftop with suspicion. "What are you doing with a human?" one hissed at Zephy. "You don't need them." Zephy flared a small flame, his pride stinging. "I can handle it," he snapped. Terran raised a hand in peace. "We're just fixing a roof," he said. "No one is in danger." Despite the whispers, they continued working. Zephy noticed that Terran didn't seem afraid of the flames or the claws. The human moved carefully but with confidence, showing that he respected Zephy and his home. It made Zephy think that maybe humans weren't so weak after all. By afternoon, the roof was taking shape. The leaks were almost gone, and the metal plates were held firmly in place. Zephy adjusted a small patch with his claws while Terran hammered a plate into its final position. The sun broke through the clouds, lighting the crystals and casting bright, colorful reflections inside the house. Zephy stopped to look at it. For a moment he forgot about the hard work, just watching the colors dance. Terran noticed and smiled. "It's like your house is glowing from the inside out." Zephy gave a small, proud nod. "It always has been. You just never noticed." Terran laughed softly. "I noticed now." As evening approached, a sudden downpour surprised them. The first heavy drops hit the newly repaired roof, splashing softly instead of flooding the interior. Zephy felt his scales tingle with relief and satisfaction. The roof was holding. Terran and Zephy watched the rain together, quiet for a few moments. "You know," Zephy said slowly, "I didn't think I would like having a human around." Terran tilted his head. "And now?" Zephy hesitated, then admitted quietly, "I don't mind." Terran smiled warmly. "That's good to hear. I don't mind being around dragons either." Something inside Zephy shifted. Trust, he realized, was a strange thing. He had been cautious, suspicious, even afraid, but Terran had stayed. He hadn't rushed in recklessly or tried to take control. He had helped, worked hard, and respected Zephy's space. That made Zephy feel safe. Over the next few days their partnership grew stronger. Terran would bring new tools or materials, and Zephy would guide him in using them effectively. They learned to anticipate each other's actions, creating a rhythm that made the work easier. And during breaks they shared small meals and stories. Zephy told Terran about flying at night over the mountains, about the hidden caves he loved to explore, and about the lonely nights he had spent in the scrap house. Terran shared stories of the village, of humans who tried and failed to understand dragons, and of the inventions he had built since he was a boy. Slowly the walls between them began to crumble. Zephy's suspicion faded, replaced by respect. Terran's curiosity became admiration. They weren't just fixing a roof anymore, they were building something more important: trust. One evening, after another long day of repairs, Zephy watched Terran pack up the tools. The rain had stopped and the air smelled fresh and clean. Zephy realized that he had grown fond of the human's presence. "Tomorrow," Zephy said thoughtfully, "we finish the roof." Terran nodded. "And after that, maybe we can work on something bigger. Who knows what we can build together?" Zephy allowed a small, genuine smile to cross his face. "We'll see," he said, and for the first time he felt a little excitement about the future. The little dragon had learned something important. Help could come from unexpected places, and sometimes working with another being could be better than working alone. Trust was strange, fragile, but also powerful. And as he settled down for the night, listening to the soft glow of his crystals, Zephy realized that having Terran nearby had made the leaks in his roof, and his heart, much easier to handle. The sun rose over the village, casting a warm light on Zephy's little scrap house. The roof was almost complete, strong and shiny where the metal plates overlapped. Zephy flapped his wings proudly, watching Terran adjust the last few pieces. Their teamwork had grown better with each passing day. Zephy felt calm and confident, something he had rarely felt before. But peace never lasts long in a world full of dragons. From the distant mountains came a shadow, dark and heavy, moving swiftly through the sky. Zephy's sharp eyes caught it immediately. His scales prickled with alarm as he realized that the intruder was no ordinary dragon. It was Krolix, a large, aggressive dragon known for bullying smaller dragons and claiming their territory. His wings spanned twice as wide as Zephy's, and his eyes glowed with a fierce, warning light. Zephy hissed, his tiny flames flickering in warning. "Terran, stay back," he shouted. Terran froze, eyes wide, holding the hammer tight in his hand. Is that dangerous?" Zephy nodded, his tail curling anxiously. "Very dangerous. He doesn't like humans. Or dragons who let humans help." Krolix landed on a nearby hill with a loud crash, shaking the earth. His voice thundered across the valley. "Zephy, what do you think you are doing? Working with a human? You will regret this." Zephy flapped his wings nervously. He had never faced a dragon this big alone. His first instinct was to hide, to take shelter inside his small scrap house. But looking at Terran, standing there ready to help, he realized he couldn't run. Not when someone had trusted him enough to stay by his side. Terran swallowed hard, but his hands did not shake. "Zephy, what should we do?" he asked. Zephy thought quickly. He could fight Krolix with fire, but Krolix was much bigger and stronger. They needed a plan, and they needed it fast. "Use the metal sheets. Stand behind them," Zephy shouted. "I'll make a distraction." Terran nodded, moving behind a stack of leftover metal. Zephy flared his wings, sending a small, bright burst of flame toward Krolix. The larger dragon roared, startled but not injured. Krolix lunged forward, trying to knock Zephy away, but Zephy darted sideways, using his small size and speed to his advantage. Terran acted quickly. He grabbed a few long metal rods and began clanging them together, creating a loud, metallic echo. The sound confused Krolix, making him hesitate. Zephy seized the moment, directing small flames at the reflective metal plates on the roof. The sunlight bounced off the metal, dazzling Krolix and making him flinch. Krolix growled, circling above them, clearly annoyed. "You think you can trick me, little dragon? And a human? Pathetic." Zephy's claws dug into the scrap roof, holding him steady. "We are not afraid," he shouted. "Go back to your mountains." Terran, seeing an opening, climbed carefully onto the roof's edge. He held a long, flexible rod he had crafted from scraps. "Zephy, aim the crystals," he called. Zephy understood instantly. The glowing crystals inside the house were more than decorations. They could reflect light and confuse an attacker. He carefully carried a few of them onto the roof, positioning them so that the sunlight and his own fire created flashing beams of light. Krolix blinked, momentarily disoriented by the sudden brightness. Seizing the opportunity, Zephy and Terran worked together. Zephy leaped and darted, creating small bursts of fire in Krolix's path, while Terran swung the metal rod to knock loose small rocks in his way. Krolix roared in frustration, trying to keep up with their movements. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Krolix gave a final, frustrated roar and took off into the mountains. His massive wings stirred the wind, leaving the air trembling, but he left without harming them. Zephy collapsed onto the roof, panting, his small wings trembling from exertion. Terran ran to him, worry clear in his eyes. "Are you okay?" Terran asked. Zephy nodded, still catching his breath. I am. Thanks to you." Terran smiled, relief washing over his face. "We did it together. I couldn't have done it without you." Zephy's heart thumped in a new way. Courage was not just about size or strength, he realized. It was about trusting someone enough to face danger together. Terran had stayed even when the bigger dragon threatened them both. That mattered more than anything. As the wind calmed and the sky cleared, Zephy and Terran surveyed the little scrap house. The roof held firm, barely shaken by the encounter. Zephy realized that the small, ordinary structure had become a fortress in its own way, protected not just by metal and fire, but by trust and teamwork. "That was terrifying," Zephy admitted, his tail curling around his feet. "Yes," Terran agreed. "But we survived. And now the roof is even stronger. Nothing can stop us if we work together." Zephy blinked at the human, feeling a mix of admiration and something deeper he couldn't quite name. Krolix had been a real threat, bigger and more powerful than anything Zephy had faced before. And yet, with Terran's help, they had overcome it. The little dragon realized something important. Strength was not always about being the biggest or the fastest. Sometimes strength was about courage, trust, and clever thinking. And that was something he had never shared with a human before. As the sun dipped low in the sky, the pair cleaned up the remaining scraps on the roof. Zephy flared his wings lightly, drying off the wet metal. Terran hammered the last loose pieces into place. They laughed quietly at some of the small mishaps that had happened during the fight, feeling lighter after the tension. That night, as the stars twinkled above, Zephy watched the sky and thought of Krolix far away in the mountains. He knew the rogue dragon might return someday, but he no longer felt fear the same way. With Terran by his side, he felt ready to face almost anything. Terran, sitting nearby, polished some of the metal tools, glancing at Zephy. "You were amazing today," he said. Zephy tilted his head, a small smile appearing on his snout. "We were amazing today. Together." And for the first time, the little dragon understood that trust, once built, could be stronger than fear. He looked at Terran and felt a quiet certainty. This was only the beginning of their partnership, and maybe, just maybe, of something bigger than either of them could imagine. The morning sun touched Zephy's little scrap house, glinting off the metal roof and the glowing crystals inside. After the terrifying encounter with Krolix, Zephy felt a mixture of relief and determination. The roof was holding, but he knew it wasn't perfect yet. Every loose plate, every weak joint could be a problem if another storm or another dragon came. Today he wanted to finish the work and do it well. Terran arrived early, carrying a bundle of stronger metal plates and some tools he had fashioned from scraps. "Ready?" he asked with a grin. Zephy flapped his wings, lifting a small puff of smoke. "Yes. Let's make sure this roof never leaks again." They climbed onto the roof together, moving carefully. Zephy guided Terran, showing him how to position the plates so they overlapped properly and water would run off. Terran followed the instructions, adding his own ideas. He suggested reinforcing weak spots with extra support rods and tying some plates together using small chains he had fashioned. Zephy watched, impressed. The human was not only clever, he was careful and precise, able to see things Zephy might have missed. As they worked, Zephy felt something warm spreading through his chest. It wasn't just pride in finishing the roof, it was something deeper. Trust. For the first time he felt safe letting someone else share his work, his space, even his life. Terran's calm presence, his patience, and his willingness to learn dragon ways made Zephy realize that not all humans were foolish or weak. Some were strong in ways dragons rarely expected. Terran noticed Zephy pausing to stare at a patch of crystal near the roof edge. "What is it?" he asked. "These crystals," Zephy said softly, "they help protect the house. Each one holds a memory or a dream. They glow when they feel safe or happy." Terran's eyes widened. "That's amazing. Can we use them somehow to make the roof stronger?" Zephy thought for a moment. "Yes. If we position them just right, they can reflect sunlight and even small bursts of heat. That will make the metal more stable and lighter in a storm." They began carefully moving the crystals, balancing them with fire bursts from Zephy's claws and steady hands from Terran. The roof gradually transformed from a simple patchwork of metal into something stronger, brighter, and almost magical. Each crystal reflected light in a way that made the roof seem alive, shimmering even in the cloudy sky. By afternoon they had almost finished the repair. Zephy adjusted a plate with his claws, while Terran hammered the final support rods into place. They stepped back to admire their work. The roof looked solid, safe, and even beautiful in its own rough way. Zephy's scales shone in the sunlight, reflecting pride and relief. "You did well," Terran said quietly. "We did well." Zephy blinked, a small smile spreading across his snout. "Yes, together." They climbed down from the roof and cleaned up the remaining scraps. Zephy realized that it wasn't just the roof that had changed. His heart felt lighter. The fear he had carried for so long, the fear of storms, of other dragons, of humans, had eased. He had someone who cared, someone he could rely on. Terran had shown him that friendship and trust could be stronger than fear. As they worked, a soft drizzle began to fall. This time, when raindrops hit the roof, not a single drop seeped inside. Zephy watched with wonder as the water slid smoothly off the metal and around the crystals. For the first time he felt completely safe in his home. The little scrap house that had always been vulnerable now stood like a fortress, protected not just by metal and fire, but by trust and care. Terran glanced at Zephy, his eyes bright. "Looks like the roof is done. You think it can survive any storm now?" Zephy nodded slowly. "Yes, and more than that. I think I can survive anything with a friend like you." Terran smiled, a warmth in his gaze that matched the warmth Zephy felt inside. "And I'll be here to help every step of the way." That evening, after the last tools were put away, they sat together on the small porch. Zephy watched the rain fall gently on the repaired roof, listening to the soft patter of droplets sliding off. Terran shared a simple meal he had brought, and Zephy accepted it, enjoying both the food and the company. "You know," Zephy said quietly, "I didn't expect to enjoy having a human around." Terran laughed softly. "And now?" Zephy's eyes softened. "Now, I can't imagine being without you. You've helped me more than just with the roof. You've helped me feel safe, and maybe even happy." Terran reached out carefully, touching Zephy's shoulder. "That's what friends do. We help each other no matter what." Zephy looked at the human, feeling something he had never felt before. Trust, respect, friendship. Something stronger than fear, stronger than solitude. He realized that his little scrap house, once just a place to survive, had become a home filled with warmth and light, because it was shared with someone who cared. That night, Zephy curled up near the glowing crystals, feeling the soft warmth they gave off. Terran sat nearby, watching over him, calm and steady. The little dragon thought about the storms, the leaks, and even the frightening encounter with Krolix. Each challenge had brought them closer, teaching Zephy the value of courage, patience, and trust. The rain outside slowed to a gentle drizzle, and Zephy's thoughts drifted. He realized the roof was not the only thing that had been repaired. His heart, once closed off and wary, had been opened by kindness, courage, and the willingness of a human to stay by his side. For the first time, Zephy felt a deep peace. His home was safe. His friend was near. And for the first time in his life he believed that together they could face anything the world might throw at them. And so, with the soft glow of crystals lighting the little scrap house, Zephy drifted to sleep, knowing that the roof, and his heart, were stronger than ever. Morning sunlight spilled over Zephy's little scrap house, warming the metal roof and making the crystals inside sparkle. The air smelled fresh after the rain, and the small dragon stretched his wings, feeling lighter than he had in years. The roof was finally complete, strong and safe, but something far more important had been built. Their friendship, a bond between a dragon and a human. Terran arrived with a bundle of new tools and a bright smile. "Good morning, Zephy. Ready for a new day?" Zephy nodded, a small smile on his snout. "Yes, the roof is finished, but I think there's more to do. Maybe we can improve the house, make it even better." Terran's eyes lit up. "I like that idea. Let's see what we can do." Together they began cleaning up the scrap yard near the house, sorting metal pieces, wood scraps, and other odd bits into piles. Zephy showed Terran which pieces would work best for reinforcing walls and adding small windows that could shine sunlight onto the crystals. Terran, in turn, taught Zephy how to use simple tools more efficiently, demonstrating small tricks that made work faster and safer. As they worked, neighbors started noticing. Human villagers peeked from behind fences, and other dragons flew by, curious about the small dragon working with a human. Some whispered in disbelief, others in admiration. Zephy had expected criticism, but instead he saw interest, and even respect, in their eyes. One small human child stepped closer. "Can I help?" the child asked nervously. Zephy's wings flared slightly, a mix of pride and caution, but Terran encouraged the child. Of course. Help us sort the pieces. Zeffy realized then that their little project had become something bigger. This was not just about fixing a roof or a house. It was about showing that dragons and humans could work together. His heart swelled with a feeling he had never known before: hope. Over the next few days, Zeffy and Terran worked tirelessly, building small improvements to the house. Windows were reinforced with crystals that reflected sunlight inside, creating a warm, glowing effect. Metal plates were polished and strengthened. The scraps that had once seemed useless now became part of something strong and beautiful. Zeffy even allowed a few curious humans to touch some of the crystals, carefully guiding their hands so no harm would come to the memories stored inside. During breaks, Zeffy and Terran shared meals and stories. Zeffy talked about the mountains, the hidden caves, and the storms he had flown through. Terran shared tales of the village, inventions he had built, and moments of courage from his own life. Each story made them laugh, made them think, and made them feel closer. One evening, after a long day of work, Zeffy looked at the house and then at Terran. "I never imagined a human could help me like this," he said softly. Terran smiled. "And I never imagined a dragon would let me." Zeffy's eyes softened. "You've helped me more than just with the house. You've helped me believe in friendship and trust." Terran nodded, understanding completely. "And you've shown me that courage comes in many forms. Even a small dragon can make a big difference." The sky darkened with the coming of night, but the little scrap house glowed from the crystals inside. Zeffy realized the glow was more than just from magic. It was the light of friendship, trust, and shared effort. His home, once leaky and fragile, now stood like a beacon of what could happen when dragons and humans worked together. A gentle breeze brought the scent of flowers from the village, and Zeffy thought about the future. Perhaps one day more dragons and humans would come together, learning from each other, helping each other, sharing knowledge and courage. Maybe the world would change, one small act of trust at a time. Terran stretched his arms and yawned. "I think we've done enough for today. The house is safe and we've made it better than ever." Zeffy nodded, feeling a rare sense of contentment. "Yes, and we did it together. I never thought I could feel so at peace." Terran glanced at him warmly. "You don't have to do it alone anymore. I'll be here whenever you need me." Zeffy's wings flared slightly, a soft puff of smoke rising from his nostrils. "And I'll be here too for you." That night, as stars twinkled above the little scrap house, Zeffy curled near the glowing crystals, feeling their warmth and light. Terran sat nearby, his presence steady and comforting. The rain had stopped, the roof was strong, and the future seemed full of promise. Zeffy realized that more than wood or metal had been repaired. His heart, his trust, and his hope had all been renewed. From that night forward, the little scrap house became more than a home. It became a symbol. Dragons and humans could coexist. They could help each other, learn from each other, and face challenges together. And Zeffy, once lonely and wary, felt part of something bigger than himself. As the moon rose high, casting silver light over the roof and crystals, Zeffy looked at Terran and said softly, "Tomorrow we continue, together." Terran smiled, patting the roof beside him. "Together," he agreed. And so, the little dragon and the human neighbor settled in, side by side, ready for whatever adventures lay ahead. They had built more than a roof. They had built a friendship strong enough to face storms, danger, and the future. The world outside was vast and uncertain, but inside the scrap house, it was warm, safe, and full of hope. Zeffy's heart glowed as brightly as his crystals. With Terran by his side, the little dragon knew that this was only the beginning of a new life, a life where trust, courage, and friendship could shine brighter than any storm. And so, under the stars and the gentle hum of the repaired roof, Zeffy and Terran rested, ready to greet each new day together.